I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. Today we're going to be talking about moving on, and that is the title of the show, because if you've been looking at my website, starborninstitute.org, you'd know that not only moving on is the title, but it's all about a full moon that we are having tomorrow at 3 degrees of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius rules travel. So it's natural that people can be moving on. And it's a time of year when we're entering the summer and things can be changing as well. And there can be changes in a lot of different ways. So there's all kinds of reasons to be moving on. But one of them is because there are 5 planets in a harsh T-cross among the mutable signs. And Sagittarius is a mutable sign. There are 4 of them: Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. Of the 4 mutable signs, their outstanding characteristic is that they're very flexible, and they are willing to listen to someone else's point of view. They may not agree with it, but they're willing to consider that and listen, and that adds to their flexibility. And so they're very versatile. They can do a lot of different things, and they're pretty easy to get along with. And yet this is a new full moon that has 5 planets in a harsh T-cross among the mutable signs. And so that means that we've had, in the last few weeks, we've had harsh T-cross or harsh squares among the fixed signs. And there are still 4 fixed signs that are squaring each other. But these 5 planets among the mutable signs can indicate that people can be moving on in a lot of different ways, which we will discuss, and it can be natural. It can be something where the timing is right for it, or the timing could even be a little bit overdue, or their plans are taking shape, and so, the planning stage is over, and now people have got to go forward and do things. And of the 4 mutable signs, 3 of them are what we call double-bodied signs, and they are Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini. Virgo is not a double-bodied sign. It's just a sturdy earth sign that is a mutable sign. But double-bodied signs can be thought of as either or. And so what that means is they could be either doing this or doing that. Or they can be either saying this but doing something else. Or they can be in one place at one time, turn around and be thinking of something else at the same time, or of doing something else at the same time. So they're sort of either or. And that is because in the sign of Sagittarius, there are the 2 heads of an arrow, one right after the other. And that means that there could be a lot of traveling going on, or different ideas that they're thinking of. Sagittarius is a very high-minded sign. It is the traditional ruler of the 9th house of the higher mind, and of religion and philosophy, and of higher education for your colleges, universities, and professional schools. And also it does rule long-distance travel, foreign countries, and international law, and it rules the judicial system throughout the world. So Sagittarius is an intellectual sign because its ruler is Jupiter. And Jupiter is a planet of abundance and goodness. So Sagittarians like to consider a lot of different viewpoints, and they're very good at keeping up with the news and finding out what's going on in a lot of different places. So generally a Sagittarian is much better informed than you think, and they know a lot more than you realize. But the next sign that is a double-bodied sign is Pisces. And Pisces is the sign of the 2 fish. One of the fish is jumping pretty high, sort of going for the best that they can do, and the other fish is swimming pretty low, and it is sort of diving down into the mud, perhaps escaping things that are problems in their lives by creating other problems, because they can be escaping into alcoholism, drug addiction, or sexual promiscuity. And that isn't too good. Excuse me. And then the 3rd double-bodied sign is Gemini. And Gemini is the sign of the 2 twins. and they're both on equal ground. And that means that a Gemini rules communication, which they're experts at, but it rules short forms of communication and short forms of education. And they are extremely flexible because it rules advertising and journalism and marketing and promoting. And Geminis are very good at temporary or part-time work. And you remember either or, it's a double-bodied sign. And they could either be working part-time on one thing, and then they can turn right around and work part-time on another. And they're very relaxed at that. That's easy for them to do. So that's the nature of the mutable signs. The fact that there are 5 planets harshly squaring and opposing each other in mutable signs means that there's a variety of reasons why people can be moving on, and some of these reasons can denote a sense of sadness or departure. And that is because the full moon, under a full moon, the moon opposes the sun. So the full moon is at 3 degrees of Sagittarius today, and it is being opposed by the sun at 3 degrees of Gemini. But Venus has just moved into Gemini, and Venus is at 0 degrees of Gemini, so both of those planets are opposing the full moon in Sagittarius. And then all 3 of those planets are being squared by 2 others, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And so Neptune is the strongest of the planets because it's at home in the sign it rules, and it's at the 29th degree of fate. And so that lends a lot of weight to reasons why people can be moving on. Maybe they're sort of at the end of something and they want to go off in a new direction, and that can leave them with a sense of sadness or departure. But just as well, they can be looking forward eagerly to some sort of new start. So that's where we are. We can be moving on for a variety of reasons. So let's look at them. Since the full moon is in Sagittarius, there are plenty of people that could be making their summer vacation plans and deciding to take long-distance trips and really have a good time. There are also college graduations at this time. Sagittarius does rule colleges and universities, and there are high school graduations. So people can be moving on because they're graduating and they're leaving their familiar student world and all their buddies and friends and going on to do new things, which is great. So they can be a little sad at what they're leaving, but they can be very excited that they've graduated and that they're moving on as well. So whether you're going on a long-distance trip or you're having visitors from foreign countries come to see you, or whether you're involved in something like a graduation, those are all good reasons for moving on, and they're certainly harmonious with the full moon being in Sagittarius tomorrow. But the Sun and Venus, I said, are in Gemini, opposing that full moon. Well, Gemini rules part-time or temporary efforts. So if we're looking at how Gemini can affect the idea of moving on, Gemini rules short trips. So if you can't take a long distance vacation, maybe you're just trying to get away for the weekend, and that would be just great. But there are also things like kids who want to go to summer camp, and that would certainly be ruled by Gemini because Gemini rules youth. Or there can be students who have graduated and they're taking temporary or part-time summer jobs, maybe to pay for their education or to just get they could be doing internships and deciding to sort of try out some career choices right now. Well, that's perfectly fine. That's moving on as well. So that could be great. Or there can be people who during the summer they want to relax a little bit and take brush-up courses, short courses, or attend seminars that can help them learn something new. And so, or just join any kind of a class, even just an exercise class, or a pickleball class. That would be a fun thing to do in the summer, and that would be that you're moving on from a more stationary way of living to something that is more active. So that could be great. And then the last pair of planets that are involved in these 5 planets that are squaring and opposing each other are Saturn and Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. And Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes, including our hidden doubts and fears. And so it can be that there can be a sadness or a sense of departure about people who have missed certain opportunities. And so those opportunities are gone now. And particularly since Neptune is at the 29th degree. So something could be passing them by. Or it could be that they're overdue departures. Saturn is in Pisces, and Saturn is a planet of delay and obstruction. So it can be that some people who should have left before are now maybe finally doing it, but it would have been overdue. And this would be a time when there could be a parting of the ways of people who may seldom meet again. In other words, they're really moving on, quite seriously. But anybody could be doing that right now. If you were leaving a career in one area of the country and taking a new job somewhere else, that would be sad, but you'd be looking forward to your new beginning too. And so you see, moving on is okay right now. And the reason why is because 2024 is a number that adds up to 8, the number of success, and that means that this year you can be very successful in a number of new opportunities, and the year is almost half over now. So this is a time to look around right now for new opportunities, and if you need to sort of be moving on into a new opportunity, this is a great time to do it. So you could be sorry about one way of life you're leaving, but that could be replaced very quickly by your enthusiasm for something new that you're looking forward to. So I think that's the way we can sort of look at this full moon that is somewhat harshly aspected, but I don't think it's going to actually hurt anybody right now. In fact, it could stimulate us to move on and to start new things. Maybe we're a little overdue. Maybe we should have done that a long time ago. And so now we can do that. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, Aries, for you, I'm sure that you are anxious to get something new underway. And the reason why is that Mars is still in your sign, Aries. And it is actually trining the full moon tomorrow in Sagittarius. So there are 2 planets in fire signs, and they are trining each other, which is great. And it can be, Aries, that you are thinking of a long-distance trip, or maybe going back to school. Or you could be having company or friends traveling from a foreign country to see you. Or you may be involved in some sort of legal issue that has international ramifications in one way. And even if you're not involved, you could be interested in that and following that along. But Aries is a sign that likes to get up and go. And since your own ruler is in your sign, Aries, it simply means that, this is the time. You should get going. And particularly since you have the backup of that full moon tomorrow in Sagittarius trining your sun. So it can be that you have a well-educated or intelligent friend behind the scenes. It could be a woman friend that is really in your corner and could be encouraging you to make a new start. And you really should. The timing is very good for that, Aries. And so I think you should really get going on that, because Neptune is at the 29th degree of Pisces, right behind your sun sign. So is Saturn. And I think if you cling to the past, it'll sort of sink you. It would give you a sense of sadness. And so you really do need to move forward just for your own sake. It isn't just that something new could be challenging to you, which you would love, but it also could sort of help you get out of something that had brought a little bit of sadness to you. And that's good. That's moving on. And this is what you should be doing. So I hope you do. Start something new. No matter what it is, it'll make you feel better. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when I did say there are still 4 planets in fixed signs, and they're all squaring each other. 3 of them are in your sign. And that is because Mercury And Jupiter and Uranus are in very late degrees. Jupiter and Uranus are, but they are in Taurus, and they are being squared by Pluto in Aquarius. And so this is a time, Taurus, when there's an old saying, when you're really having to decide something or go in a new direction, they say this is a time when the rubber hits the road. And what that means is that this is the time to really get going, Taurus. And the reason why is that somebody in a powerful position is thinking of their future plans. That would be Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. And they would not be considering including you in those plans, Taurus. And the reason why is not because there's anything deficient about you at all. It is that they are looking for people that are a little bit more ahead of their time, or wanting to sort of jump into the future. The whole world is going to be absolutely amazed at what comes out of the time that Pluto is in Aquarius, because Aquarius rules invention and high technology and things ahead of their time. And not everybody wants to take a chance on things ahead of their time. And Taurus likes things steady. And they like to have their feet on the ground. And they like to do familiar things because they know they're good at them. And that would have proved rewarding. So there is somebody who may pass you by, Taurus. I don't think this will bother you at all. And the reason why is that I think that you are very secure in wherever you are right now. You're pretty secure. You just had a great new moon, and you know, the greatest thing you should be doing is perhaps reallocating your investments if you can. But if you're looking for a future career, no matter what age you are, even if you just graduated from college and you're looking for some futuristic career, I think that in the end, not only will somebody pass you by, but you'll pass them by as well. Because Taurus looks for security. That's the number one thing they want. Because Taurus is a sign of the good provider. And you may stick to what you're doing already, Taurus, and because you already know that you're successful at that, or that you can be. If you're graduating from college, you would go into a job that would give you financial security. And so it wouldn't be risky, and it wouldn't be inventive, and it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't threaten your financial security at all. And I think that's what you're going to aim for, and which you should do. So if you have to say goodbye to something that's fascinating, but that you're not sure that it'll actually work, I see nothing wrong with that. You should move on, Taurus. Be true to yourself, is what I'm saying. And a Taurus likes their creature comforts, and they like good money, but they like to work hard for it, and they don't like to have their boat rocked in any way. And so you should really just stay like that, Taurus, because in the long run you're going to be real successful that way. And taking on new things that are a little bit, they belong to the future, but you don't know if they're actually going to work, that would be risky. And a Taurus doesn't like risks. A Taurus likes a sure thing. So if I were you, I'd concentrate on that instead, Taurus. And if someone else does not select you for something, you could thank your lucky stars. Because what you want is, you want real solid security. Nothing risky at all. And so not being chosen for something could actually be a godsend to you, Taurus. It could make you even more convinced to stay on your own track. Because you know what's best for you, so I hope you follow that. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, yours is a double-bodied sign, and it's a mutable sign. So there are 5 planets squaring in each other in mutable signs right now. But I don't think you can get too hurt by that, Gemini. And the reason why is that even though the sun in your sign is at 3 degrees, is exactly opposing the full moon in Sagittarius tomorrow at 3 degrees, It means that, okay, you may not be going on a real long distance trip, but you could go on a lot of short trips, and you could get something that you'd been hoping for, Gemini. And the reason why is that Pluto in Aquarius is trining your sun, and Venus has come into your sun sign. It's at 0 degrees, but it's conjuncting the sun in your sign, 0, and then the sun is at 3 degrees. They're closely conjuncting, and they're both being trined by Pluto in Aquarius. And so, Gemini, this is just a precursor to what is coming right up. And what's coming right up is that Jupiter, which is at 29 degrees of Taurus, so it's at the degree of fate in Taurus today, it is coming right into your sign, Gemini. And it's going to stay there for a year. And you've got Venus already there and the sun already there. So you're probably looking at moving on in some way, and it could be part-time, or it could be temporary, or it could involve a short trip, or it could involve anything that is, it could even be something like, you know, working on a second home, a little cabin in the mountains or at the seashore or something like that. Or it could be that you want to take some short trips and visit family members. That would be just great. But somebody in a position of that's influential and perhaps in upper management is looking at you, Gemini, and I don't know if they've contacted you yet, but they're probably going to. And it may be a little closer to when the new moon occurs in your sign in June. But anyway, Gemini, all of us should be moving on, because the year's half over and it's a year of opportunity. Well, if your opportunity has not arrived yet, Gemini, I would say it's just about to. And so, you know, hold on to your hat, Gemini. I think something is going to speed up in your life a little bit. And I think that even if you're just thinking about it, or you're planning it, or you're sort of hearing from others about something, I would really listen closely, Gemini, because whoever's talking to you right now or is making contact with you in one way or another has certainly thinking very favorably of you, and probably has a really good idea for you that you would be wise to consider, even take, you know. If they were offering you something temporary, why not say yes? You could still do other things. You're versatile, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, there really aren't a lot of planets in the water signs right now, but there are 2, and they're involved in this harsh T-cross among mutable signs, because Saturn and Neptune at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces are both trining your sun, Cancer, which is good. And the reason why it's good is because you can be much closer to the possibility of surmounting innumerable delays that you have had, particularly in the last year or 2 years. In other words, people could experience a sense of sadness or about a departure as friends move on in one way or another, and yet there could have been some situation where there was an overdue departure. In other words, somebody didn't depart and they should have, or it created a lot of obstacles and delays because it didn't happen when it was supposed to, and now I think it's going to. And I think it's for the best. And it would be involving people who are departing, maybe just traveling or moving. You know, the show is titled Moving On. And what it would involve is a situation where there is not a lot of contact, or they would seldom see each other again. And that would actually be for the best, Cancer, and you know it. And so you are going to be blessed with an opportunity to make a dream come true just about at the last minute. And you should do it. And that is because we're all nearing a time when we have to move on. And so the only question is, Cancer, and Cancers don't like that. Cancers like to sort of be in their home or be in their little nest. But you may be moving on, particularly this summer. A lot of people may be doing that. And I hope that you are moving toward a dream of yours that had been delayed for quite a while due to obstructions or problems that had to be solved first. And it looks like they are now. And even though it may have been a difficult time for you in trying to solve a problem in a sort of a nice way, Cancers like to be nice to everybody, and your sign, Cancer, rules endings. And so you would have wanted an ending that was a very nice one. But that would imply that other people want to be nice too, and perhaps someone did not want to be nice, and that would have caused delay and obstruction. And so if as somebody else moves on and you seldom speak again, it could be a relief, actually. It could just be a relief. You could be glad. Cancers do not like to live with tension all the time. They're pretty easygoing people. They just like to have things cozy. And they just, Cancer doesn't ask for much. And they're fond of home. But if we have to move to a different home, or if we finally can have an opportunity to make a dream come true that had been a very old dream, it's still possible. But it is just barely possible. And that's because Neptune is leaving. And those planets in Pisces are, they're squaring that full moon in Sagittarius, and they're squaring the Sun and Venus in Gemini. So it's if you want to make a dream come true or have a wish come true somewhat at the last minute, Cancer, you're going to have to reach out and touch. You're going to have to do a little bit of work to make that happen. But Cancers are, this isn't the time to sit back and wait for the world to come to you, Cancer. This is a time when you need to initiate something and get the ball rolling, because it would be a tragedy to miss something you'd been dreaming about for so long. Don't do that. Don't miss it. Do what you can. Make a dream come true and move on. You'll be much happier than you have been in the past. So don't give up. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, some of the pressure is off you, Leo. That should make you feel like moving on. And there are planets in fire signs that are trining your sun right now. So even though there are still 4 planets that are in fixed signs squaring each other and affecting your sign, Leo, because Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign, which means that somebody in a powerful position who has future plans. Now, they may not be certain that they're all going to work, but that's the direction they're going, will not be coming your way, Leo. But I don't think that's going to bother you at all, Leo. I think you've got your mind on moving on anyway. And then you could be wondering, but where's the money coming from? Because Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus in Taurus are still squaring your sun. And Jupiter is at the 29th degree of fate in Taurus right now. There can be some of your investments right now, Leo, that need to be reworked or reorganized in some way. You may want to sell some things, and then you may want to do something a little different with your investments. And this would be a good time to pay attention to that. Because if you could get your hands on reallocating your money so that you had a little bit more disposable income, you really could start something new right now. And the reason why is that tomorrow the full moon in Sagittarius is trining your sun, and Mars in Aries is already trining your sun. And Mars rules Aries. And so there could be somebody else that sort of wants you to get up and go, Leo, and really get going. But I think it's you that is very anxious to start something new right now. And boy, you could do it. Now, it may be a long-distance trip, because the moon in Sagittarius is trining your sun, and that rules foreign countries or people from foreign countries. So you might have visitors who are from another country coming to see you, or maybe you're just planning a long distance trip. If you're doing the planning right now, it could work out really well for you, Leo. But also you could just go on a trip right now, and that would help you move on and get out of a constricting situation that you have been in. With all those planets that were squaring and opposing each other in fixed signs, you have been under a strain or under pressure, and now you can be ready to move on. It doesn't mean that everything's perfect, but it's much better than it used to be. And the ball's in your court now, Leo. You've got planets trining your sun. Well, that hasn't done you as much good as it could do you now, because there's fewer planets squaring and opposing your sun sign, and there's more planets trining it. So the shoe's on the other foot, Leo, and you can get going in a new direction. And boy, don't waste a minute, Leo. Just get up and do it. You would be surprised at how easy it will be. It will be much easier than you think. You've had a little bit of a rough spell, and now you're going to be able to have something, doors will open. It'll be easier than you think, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time, Virgo, when you're still under the beneficial influence of the planets that have been in Taurus. And so Mercury, your own ruler, is in Taurus, trining your sun, and so is Jupiter at the 29th degree of fate, and also Uranus is in Taurus. Now, Mercury and Jupiter will move out of Taurus, but Uranus will stay there for another year, still trining your sun and the Capricorn sun. And so this is a time when you may get some good news about money, or it can be that you're rearranging your financial assets to put you in a more secure position in one way or another, Virgo. And you would be able to do that. That would work out. In fact, I would suggest that you do that. Even if you won the lottery and had a windfall right now, sure, you could spend some of that money, but the rest of it you should make sure that it is applied toward things that can make you financially secure for a long time to come. You really need to think about that. Your sign rules health, and actually, the older people get and the better health care that they have, the longer they live. And that's happening all over the world. People are not dying at young ages unless they're into things that hurt them, such as drug addiction, but people who are really watching their health and getting good health care are living longer. And that is a good reason for you to watch your own health, Virgo, but also to make sure that you're aligning your financial assets in a way to provide for a rather long life, because you might have one. Virgos are pretty careful with their health. And so, are you fixed until you're 100, Virgo? Because if you're not, maybe now's the time to start thinking about what can you do to make sure you're covered, just in case you do live that long, because you could. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, you're still under the influence of that dominating, aggressive Mars in Aries, which is opposing your sun sign. So somebody still wants to punch your buttons, Libra. Now, even if they were moving on, or you were moving on, they're sort of in the groove of wanting to be annoying. So they are. Or they're expecting you to solve all their problems. And I hope that you are not falling for that, Libra. You don't need to. The sun is in Gemini along with Venus, and they are both trining your sun. And Pluto in Aquarius is trining your sun. Okay, so that's just the beginning of a very good story of your good fortune, Libra, because there's going to be more planets coming into Gemini, all trining your sun, and Pluto will continue to do that too. Pluto is actually a very slow mover. It's going to be trining you, except for a couple months later on this year when it retrogrades into Capricorn, then it'll move back into Aquarius, and it's going to be trining your sun for years, and the Gemini sun. And so you may, no matter what age you are, Libra, you may be surprised that you are fascinated by new things, and that you could actually be sort of on the forefront of the development of new things, either new technologies or new ways of doing things that work out and not only help prolong life, but really help humanity. Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian. And Pluto's going to be there trining your sun for 17 to 20 years. And so you could be much more aligned with things that are sort of trying to help others for a long time to come. And you'd be quite fortunate in that, Libra. You know, all of us have different talents. So, I mean, nobody's perfect, and nobody has all the talent in the world. But if each one of us could just do what we do best, even if it's just in a small way, you know, that would add up and up and up and up, and the world would improve, and humanity would be better off. And so, whatever way that you can sort of help the world be a better place, Libra, I wish you'd think about that. I think that's where you're headed in the years now, 17 to 20 years that Pluto is going to be trining your sun from Aquarius. I think that's the direction you're going. And so you'll be joined by a lot of other people. And so you could find yourself sort of involved in new things and loving it. And Libra rules partnership. And so you may want to just come in and add your talents to some other project that other people are working on that you want to contribute to. And you can do it in a small way or a big way or any way you want. And that could really help sort of make things better in the future. And that's entirely possible. Now, I'm really not just telling tall tales here, because the planets are building up in Gemini and also trining your sun. Well, the Gemini new moon that's coming up in June is a whopper. And it's going to be trining your sun too. So if you're not involved in something new that at least is part-time, sometime this summer, I'm going to be real surprised, Libra, because I think that is the direction you're going in. So good luck. You've got a great summer ahead of you, and I hope you take advantage of that. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when, just like Cancer, you more or less have to operate on something that you want at the 11th hour, which is what it is right now, Scorpio. Luckily, there are not as many planets. Remember, last week there were 7 planets in a harsh T-cross squaring and opposing your sun, which is the most I've ever seen happen in fixed signs. I mean, gee, did anything go right last week in Scorpio? Well, maybe it did, but you would have had to be sort of working hard at something to make it go right. And maybe you did succeed, because you still have Neptune at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces, and it's the strongest planet because it's the only one at home in the sign it rules now, and Saturn there trining your sun, which is wonderful. And that simply means that behind the scenes, you could find out secrets. You could find out what people have been doing that they didn't think anybody would ever find out about, but you could find out about that. And you could decide what to do about it, because your sign rules justice. And so it is possible that justice could sort of be done in a low-key way or a quiet way, but you could make sure it was done, which would be fine. And then there is the possibility that at the very last minute you would still have the opportunity to make a precious dream come true. But you'd have to reach out for it. You'd have to do it pretty quickly, because that Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate. There's no more room for it to move in the sign. And it is the sign of dreams. It's also the sign of miracles. And Scorpios are generally very pragmatic, realistic people. It rules medicine, and it rules the military, and it rules survival, and it rules death. I mean, Scorpios are rather stoic they look at things the way they are, and whether they like it or not, they can handle it. And this is just a time when, since Neptune is now at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces, but still trining your sun, and it's direct, and so is Saturn, that you could, at the very last minute, if you reach out and just do what you have to do to make sure that a precious private dream of yours comes true, then you should do that. And you could do that behind the scenes. It might even be better if you do it behind the scenes, because there would be fewer people to stop you. And therefore your chances for success would be even better if you did it in a low-key, quiet way. And so 2 things. You can make the dream come true, and you could administer justice to somebody who's really been a thorn in your side. And you could sort of take care of that real quietly. But not in a mean way, but in a fair way. And I would suggest that you do that, Scorpio. For one reason, that's it isn't until 2025. But Jupiter is coming into Gemini, and the next new moon is going to be in Gemini, and it is going to be pretty powerful because there's going to be 5 planets there. And Gemini rules easy transitional change. So a lot of people will be moving and moving on. And maybe you will be too, Scorpio, or changing your daily habits or your work routine in some way. You may be adding something new and getting rid of something old at the same time. And it would give you a sense of relief to have trouble go away. And it would give you a sense of anticipation and joy to have something new, even if you didn't quite know how it was going to work out. Just the fact that you're working on new things that you believe in would give you a sort of a second chance at life. More happiness than you've had in a long time. So I hope you think about that, Scorpio. Because in 2025, after Jupiter leaves Gemini, it's coming into your sign. It only comes into or not your sign, it's coming into Cancer. And it will trine your sign. And it will be in Cancer for a whole year, between the summer of 2025 and 2026. Trining your sun continually. And that's going to be very good for you. It's going to be very good for all the water signs. It's also going to be good for America and for Ukraine and Canada. Okay, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm sorry, but what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Oh, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, this is a full moon in your sign tomorrow. Well, that's going to make you stand out, Sagittarius. There could be people coming along saying hello to you, and you could wonder why they're doing that. Well, just because they like you. And it can be that if you are sort of out and about, Sagittarius, right now, you would be almost magnetic in drawing people to you, because the full moon means there's going to be a lot of light on you, Sagittarius. And people could like what they see. That would be nice. On the other hand, the reason why you might be out and contacting people and be sort of busy, which I suggest you should do, is because Mars in Aries is trining your sun where the full moon is tomorrow. And so if you were saying, you were thinking about doing something new, tomorrow is the day when you should go out and talk to people one-on-one, personally. Whether you have an appointment with them or not, at least you could go and talk to them and make the appointment. Or maybe they would be happy to see you and answer your questions and help you out in some way. So when the moon is full in your sign, and the moon only stays in a sign for 60 hours or 2.5 days. So, for the rest of this week, Sagittarius, you should get out and just, wear out a little shoe leather, getting around to people and meeting them, and always leave something. When you leave, give them something. Give them your card, or share a little piece of candy with them, or just something that makes them remember you in one way or another. Because I can guarantee you that if you're out sort of planting seeds for your future, or to start something new, it could be very fruitful for you, Sagittarius, right about now. And so I would not procrastinate. I would sort of get out there and get going, because the moon will be in your sign and Mars will be trining it, meaning that you will certainly have enough energy to get around. That would surprise you. But don't worry, just get out and get going and talk to people, and do it about anything that you've been thinking about, okay? Because, you know, it's like fishing. You do not know who's going to take the bait until you get out and you talk to people. And it could be pretty amazing who responds to you. They could respond immediately, or they could respond next week, or they could respond in an email whenever. But you have nothing to lose, Sagittarius, by getting out while the full moon is shining on you. And it has backup. So I would say strike while the iron is hot. And I don't mean be mean to anybody. I'm just saying get out and make contact. People will remember you. Your visits will be fruitful. It doesn't mean that you're going to be successful at everything, but you have to plant the seed. And that's what you should be doing right now, Sagittarius. You just never know what direction you're going to be moving on to. But now is the time to try for that. So give it a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn. This is a time, Capricorn, when I think that you can still benefit from the 3 planets that are still in Taurus trining your sun. And they are Mercury and Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. Now, Jupiter is at the 29th degree of fate, and it is moving out of Taurus very quickly, and it won't be back for 12 years, but it has been trining your sun all year. And so there should be some more money around for you, Capricorn, or better financial terms on something. And that would be good for you as well. Or it just can be that you could be finding a way right now to lower your costs. Maybe you've been working on that for a while, how to lower your costs, and maybe that could be proving to be somewhat successful right now, sort of at the last minute, but successful. And so, and if your efforts are not successful yet, keep at them, because I think they will be. So anyway, whatever you can do to stabilize your financial situation, you should certainly be working on that while the 3 planets in Taurus are still trining your sun. Because they're the only planets in your sign right now. But they are beneficial to your sign, so you should be working on financial matters right now. Or it could even be that you want to raise a little extra money just by selling things around the house. Or you could donate them and take them as a tax deduction. Whatever. But this is a time when you could be very successful at sort of putting your money into places where it works a little bit better for you, and particularly for the long run. And so this would be a good time to do that, Capricorn, so good luck. Because that full moon tomorrow in Sagittarius is right behind your sun sign, so there's going to be a lot of light in the background of your life, Capricorn. And it should be somewhat illuminating in one way or another. It may even involve something where you're sort of beginning to think about starting something new or going in a new direction. And that would tend to be somewhat fruitful, but a little bit quiet behind the scenes right now. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when you greatly benefit from both the full moon in Sagittarius and the planets in Gemini. They're opposing each other, but they're not hurting you at all, Aquarius, because the full moon in Sagittarius sextiles your sun, so that's good. You could be thinking of taking a long-distance trip, or going back to school for one reason or another, or working with people in a way that helps you learn something. Maybe you're thinking of taking a short course in order to increase your skills. That would work out well. But also, Aquarius, the Sun and Venus now in Gemini are trining your sign, and they're trining Pluto in your sign. And there are going to be more planets building up in Gemini, all trining Pluto in your sign. So what does that mean for you, Aquarius? I know it's going to be hard to believe this, particularly because Pluto moves so slowly. People do not think that it is half as powerful as it is, but it's in fact way more powerful than people realize. It just takes it a long time to get going. And so, you know, Pluto's going to be in your sign, even though it goes retrograde for a little bit. It's going to be in your sign for the next 17 to 20 years. And anytime any planet hits an air sign, they'll always be trining that Pluto in your sign. Okay, so what that means, Aquarius, is that you're coming into your own power. Slowly, but you're coming into your own truth about yourself. And it's undeniable. And it's not going to hit you all at once. You know, you are going to have a wonderful opportunity to start something new. And it could be that you're starting 2 new things. And that would be this summer. So if you're not planning on moving on in any way or doing something temporary or part-time, I would leave my calendar open a little bit, Aquarius, because I think you're going to be involved in something new that is that's going to take up a little bit more of your time, and you're going to have to sort of readjust your routine in one way or another, and you will be able to do that. And you'll also be successful at whatever that new thing is. You'll surprise yourself at how successful you're going to be. That'll shock you. But it could be that someone's going to suggest that you join them, and it turns out that you happen to be the right person in the right place at the right time. Well, maybe you didn't think of doing that, but somebody else had the vision to think of that, and if you accept an offer, it's going to put you in a perfect spot for who and what you are today. In other words, who you are, what you like, and what you can do today. So you're going to be able to capitalize on many of your past skills. You could learn new skills too, but you really are tremendously well qualified for something that's going to involve something new. And other people, I think, are going to ask you to join them. And you should say yes. Because if nothing else, as you jump into something new, you'll learn more about yourself. And it's about who you are today and who you're going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be about who you were in the past. It's not going to have anything to do with the past. We're all changing. But Aquarians are really going to change because Pluto's there. But very slowly. Don't worry, you're not going to wake up and change into something else one morning, Aquarius. But you will be coming into your own power and your own truth. And my suggestion to you is that you try very hard to live up to that. Because this is going to be a golden time in your life. Never to be repeated either. Pluto's so slow it'll never be back to your sign after it leaves. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when it's sort of, gotta get it done time. And in fact, the clock's ticking, Pisces. And you may not want to miss something. And you're coming real close to doing that. And the reason why is that Neptune is your own ruler. It's the strongest planet in the heavens because it's the only one at home in the sign it rules. And it is just smack dab up to the end of the sign now. It's at the 29th degree of fate in your sign. It has no more room to move, Pisces. It's not like tomorrow. If you're putting off something you've always dreamed about doing, or if you're thinking that, oh well, I'll go do something else, and I want to be with somebody that is really precious to me, but I can do that later. No, Pisces. You can think that you can do it later, but it takes 2. And one of them is not going to be there anymore. In other words, you could say, oh, I can come back and do this anytime. And if it involves another person, they're not going to wait. Because they've been waiting so long already that waiting is real old now. And they are concluding that you don't care. because you haven't done anything about it. And so they're saying, okay, that Pisces doesn't care, I'll move on. Remember the show's called Moving On. And that would be a huge error on your part, Pisces, if you let that happen. But you are the one that's responsible for it not happening. In other words, you have got to come forward, straightforward, one-on-one, with whoever it is that has been involved in your heart for years. And that you need to be real truthful with them about how you see your life, either with or without them. Because so far, with Neptune at the 29th degree of fate, they are beginning to think that you want to be without them, because you've never done anything about it. And they're about done waiting. That's what Neptune at the 29th degree means. You're out of time. And so you will have to not just hint at things, you're going to have to make your move, Pisces. And you're going to have to speak up. Pardon the construction going on next door, sorry about that. But you're just going to have to be honest with yourself, or whether you want to make a precious dream come true or let it go. Because I think that the other part of that precious dream is concluding that you don't want it to happen because you haven't done anything about it yet. And so guess which one is going to move on? They are. You can't be looking at emptiness forever without feeling empty. And no one likes to feel empty. So life goes on. But maybe your precious dream did wait around for years and years and years and years because maybe they just kept hoping. Only Neptune at the 29th degree means you're out of time if you don't make your move. It'll turn out they're right, that you didn't care enough to do that. And why wait around for nothing? So you have a lot to lose, Pisces. And you should drop whatever you're doing right now and just say, okay, I can do that some other time, but this is the time I've got to make sure that I'm sticking with what I really have in my heart. You know, tie that up, Pisces. Because if you don't, the sense of sadness for the rest of your life will be your own. And there's no excuse. You know, Neptune's been in your sign a long time. It came into your sign in 2012. It's been there 12 years. No excuses, Pisces. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can read my blog on my website, STARBORNinstitute.org, and you can subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I hope you tell your friends about that, and that way you can see the show every week. And until I see you next week, I want to thank you very much, and thank you especially to the people that wished me well as I got over my cold. That was nice of you. I appreciate that. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye.